Daddy, don't! 7-year-old Lily's scream tore through the roaring river as Caleb Hayes vaulted the guardrail and hurled himself into 40-degree water. A woman, a stranger in a dark coat, was already being swallowed by the current. Caleb hit the surface hard. The cold slammed the air from his lungs. He didn't care. He swam. What he didn't know, what nobody on that bridge could have known, was that the woman drowning beneath him wasn't a stranger at all. She was the one person who held his entire future in her hands. Drop the city you're watching from in the comments so I know how far this story has traveled. And if you believe a good man's heart can still save a broken one, hit subscribe, because what happens next is something none of them saw coming. The school bell rang at 2:47 p.m., and Caleb Hayes was already standing at the chain-link fence with his hands jammed into his jacket pockets, watching the side door the way a man watches the horizon for weather. "She's gonna come out fighting today, Cal. Fair warning." Caleb turned. Miss Delgado, the pickup aide, was smiling at him the way she always smiled, a little too kindly. The smile of a woman who knew he was a widower and never quite knew how to act around him. What did she do? It's not what she did. It's what a boy named Bryce did. Bryce. Bryce told her that her mother left because she didn't want her anymore. Caleb felt something tight settle behind his breastbone, the same old weight he'd been carrying for 3 years. He swallowed it down and nodded. "Appreciate the heads up, ma'am." "Cal." Her hand touched his sleeve soft. She decked him. "I'm supposed to report that formally." "I'll talk to her." "I figured you would." The door burst open, and there she was. Lily Hayes, 7 years old, 36 pounds soaking wet. Pink backpack blonde hair in a ponytail that Rachel had taught him how to make 1 week before she died. He still wasn't any good at it. The ponytail was crooked. "Daddy?" "Lily Bean." She walked right past him. Not a word. Marching toward the truck with her chin up. Caleb caught Miss Delgado's eye. She gave him a sad, small nod. He unlocked the truck. Lily climbed into her booster. He shut the door, walked around, got in. "Buckle in, Bean." "I am." "Look at me a second, please." "I am looking at you." "Lily." She finally turned her head, and her eyes were red, and her lower lip was tucked under her top teeth, the way it always was when she was trying not to cry in front of him. "Did you hit a boy today?" "Yep." "Lily Bean. We talked about hitting. He said Mommy left because I was bad." Caleb closed his eyes, opened them, turned the key. "Your mom did not leave." "I know." "Your mom died, baby. There's a difference, a big one." "I know. She loved you so much." "I know that too, Daddy." Her voice cracked. "But Bryce is dumb and he made me mad, and my fist just did it by itself." Caleb let out a long breath that was almost a laugh. He put the truck in drive. "Well, we don't hit, even when fists want to do it by themselves. Understood?" "Understood." "Good girl." They drove for a while. Caleb took the long way home. The way that cut along the river because Lily liked the river, and because he needed the extra 15 minutes before they had to walk into an empty house where Rachel's photograph still hung in the hallway. He couldn't bring himself to take it down. He couldn't bring himself to move it. He couldn't bring himself to do anything with it at all. "Daddy?" "Yeah." "Can we go to the bridge path?" "It's cold, Bean. Please, I'll wear my big coat." He glanced at her in the rear view. Her eyes were still red. He sighed. "All right." The Caddo River was angry that afternoon. 3 straight days of hard rain had shoved her 2 feet above her usual line. Caleb parked in the gravel lot near the footbridge, killed the engine, and sat there a second, listening to the water hiss and churn. "Stay on the path, Lily. I mean it." "I always stay on the path." "You do not always stay on the path." "I stay on it 70% of the time." "That's not as reassuring as you think it is, Bean." "You asked." He got out. He went around, got her out of the booster, zipped her coat up to her chin, and took her gloved hand in his big, calloused one. They walked. "Daddy." "Yeah." "Do you think Mommy can see us right now?" "I think so." "Even from the ground?" "Yeah." "But her eyes are closed." Caleb stopped walking. He crouched down so they were face to face. He put both his hands on her little shoulders. Lily, her body is in the ground, but her body isn't her. The thing that made her her, the laughing, the singing, the way she used to kiss your forehead, that's not in the ground. That went somewhere else. And wherever it went, I promise you she's looking. Where'd it go? I don't know, Bean. Nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure. But I got a feeling. I got a feeling too. Yeah. I feel her sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth. Caleb laughed. It came out cracked. He kissed her forehead. He stood back up. They kept walking. They walked to the middle of the old county footbridge, built in 1964. 2 narrow pedestrian lanes, wooden planks warped from decades of snowmelt. From here, Caleb could see the river in both directions. He could see it fighting itself. Whoa. I know. It's fast, Daddy. I know. Daddy, look. Lily was pointing. Her gloved finger was aimed downstream past the footbridge toward the highway overpass, maybe 40 yards off. There was a woman up there. A woman on the wrong side of the railing. Caleb's whole body went still. Daddy, is she? Lily. His voice dropped into something low and flat, the voice he hadn't used in 4 years. The Navy voice. Listen to me. Walk backwards. Don't turn around. Walk backwards until you're at the bench. Sit on the bench. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Say it back. Walk backwards. Sit on the bench. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Go. Right now. She went. Caleb pulled his phone out. His fingers were already going numb, and he hadn't even touched the water yet. He dialed 911 as he started walking fast toward the highway overpass. Running now. 911. What's your emergency? I need fire rescue and an ambulance at the Caddo River footbridge, north side of the Route 9 overpass. I got a woman on the wrong side of the guardrail. She's going over. Water's up, current's bad. I'm Navy out 4 years HM1. I'm moving on her now. Sir, do not engage. Stay back and just get them here. He hung up. He ran. The woman was tall. He could see that even from 50 feet out. She was wearing a long, dark coat. The wind was catching. Her hands were gripping the rail behind her. Her body was leaning out. Her hair had come loose from whatever had been holding it and was blowing sideways across her face. Ma'am? She turned her head. Just a little. Ma'am, look at me. Please look at me. Caleb was on the overpass now 20 feet from her. He slowed himself. Walked. Hands up. Palms out. I'm not a cop. I'm not anybody. My name is Caleb. She didn't say a word. Her eyes were wet, but she wasn't crying. Her face was past crying. Her face was somewhere past the place where crying still helps. Ma'am, I got a little girl back there on the path and she's watching us. So if you would just come back over the rail with me real slow so she doesn't have to see what I'm afraid she's about to see. Please. Don't. Don't what? Don't use her. I'm not using her. You are. Ma'am, I'm telling you the truth. She's right there. She's 7. Her mother's dead. She has watched me for 3 years try to stop drowning. She does not need to watch anybody else drown today. The woman's jaw clenched. Go away. I can't. I'm asking you. I know. I'm begging you. I know, but I can't. He took 1 step. 1. Her whole body flinched toward the water and he froze. Okay. I'm not moving. She was maybe 40, dark hair, a hard, clean face, the face of a woman who had been strong for a long time and was done being strong. There was a lanyard around her neck, a military ID clipped to it. Her coat was over a uniform Class B slacks, dark blue officers, and he registered all of it in half a second. His own Navy. Your Navy? She didn't answer. I can see the rank on your collar, ma'am. I'm Navy too. 8 years. Hospital corpsman first class. Got out 4 years ago when my wife died. My name is Caleb Hayes. Her jaw tightened. A muscle jumped in her throat. I'm not going to salute you. I'm not going to try anything like that. I'm just telling you. You and me, we come from the same house, ma'am. I don't know what happened to you today. I don't know anything about it. But I know that house. And the house teaches us something. The house teaches us you do not leave your shipmate in the water. Stop. Okay. Stop. Talking. Okay. She closed her eyes. The wind caught her coat. The coat billowed out behind her like a dark sail, and Caleb saw her fingers loosen on the rail behind her back. Ma'am, please, please look at me. Her fingers opened. She fell. Caleb Hayes did not think. There is a part of the brain that does not think. There is a part that only moves. He was over the rail in a single motion, boots and jacket and all, and he was airborne for what felt like a very long time, and then the water took him. The water took him the way a bear takes a salmon. It hit him in the face, up the nose, down the throat, and it drove every cubic inch of air out of his chest in one violent shove. 41 degrees. He knew that number because he had read the National Weather Service alert that morning over a bowl of cereal with his daughter. 41 degrees. Hypothermia in 15 minutes. Unconsciousness in 30. Dead shortly after that. He came up fighting. Ma'am, the current had her. He could see the top of her head, the black coat spread out around her like a drowning bird, the white of one hand reaching up once and going back under. She was 30 feet downstream of him already. The river wanted her. The river had plans for her. Caleb didn't fight the current. Caleb let it take him too. Because you do not fight a river like that. You ride it. He angled his body toward the bank where she was, and he kicked when he could, and he corrected with his arms, and he closed the distance. 20 feet. 10. 5. He got a fistful of her coat, then a fistful of her hair. Then his arm was under her armpits and across her chest, and he rolled her onto her back against his own chest, the way he had been trained a lifetime ago at Great Lakes. I got you. I got you. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. I got you. She wasn't fighting. That was the problem. She wasn't fighting anything. Her head lolled against his shoulder. Her lips were blue. Her eyes were half open and pointing at nothing. Ma'am, stay with me. Stay with me. He kicked for the bank. He kicked hard. He was not a young man anymore. 39 last November. Knees that talk to him in the cold. But a father's body does things a young man's body cannot do. He kicked. He dragged her. The current dragged back. He cursed the current in a long, steady underbreath stream of every bad word he had ever learned in the Navy, which was most of them. A rock clipped his shoulder. Another hit his thigh. A tree root snagged his coat and ripped a seam and let him go. He kicked again. Come on, ma'am. Come on with me. 30 feet from the bank. 20. Daddy! He heard her. He heard his daughter. His head snapped around in the water. There she was, 7 years old. Pink coat standing at the edge of the river with her little face white as paper and her little hands over her mouth. Lily, stay. Back. Daddy, come out. Daddy, come out. I'm coming, baby. Stay on the bank, or I can't get out. That worked. She stopped moving. She stayed. His hand hit gravel. He couldn't feel it. His hand was a dead thing on the end of his arm. But he saw it hit, and he knew what that meant, and he kicked one more time, and he got a knee under him, and he dragged the woman, this stranger, this officer, this person who had opened her fingers and let the sky take her. He dragged her up out of the river onto the cold gravel bank, and he collapsed, chest to chest on top of her, trying to give her his own heat what was left of it. Ma'am. She didn't move. Ma'am, come on. He tilted her head back. He put his ear to her mouth. Nothing. He laced his hands together over her sternum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Compressions. Rachel had died of a brain aneurysm 3 years ago. He had done compressions on his own wife on the kitchen floor for 18 minutes before the ambulance came. They had not worked. They had not worked on Rachel. His hands remembered anyway. His hands had been waiting 3 years for a second chance. Gee. 28, 29, 30. He tilted her head, pinched her nose, breathed into her mouth. Twice. Back to compressions. Don't do this. Don't do this to me. Not today. Not today. Come on. Lily was behind him on the bank. He could hear her crying. Daddy. Bean. Baby. Go up to the path. Go up to the path and wave your arms for the ambulance. Do you hear me? Up to the path. Wave. Both arms. Go. Daddy, is she dead? Go. Up to the path. She ran. He kept going. 30 and 2. 30 and 2. His own lungs were burning. His own body was starting to shake in the way that bodies shake when the core temperature is falling and the shivering is about to stop. Which is the bad sign? Which is the sign they taught you to watch for? Because after the shivering stops, the dying starts. Come on, ma'am. What's your name? Give me a name. I'm gonna need a name for the paramedics. Come on now. 30 and 2. 30 and 2. And then a cough. A wet, ugly, violent cough. Her whole body convulsed, and she vomited river water onto the gravel next to her face, and she coughed again, and her eyes, her dark, beautiful, terrified eyes flew open and locked onto his. There you are. There you are, ma'am. There you are. Easy. Easy now. She tried to speak. Nothing came. She tried again. Don't talk. Don't talk yet. Just breathe for me. Just breathe. She breathed. It was a rattling, awful, alive sound. Why? What? Her voice came out in a rasp so small he had to lean down to hear it. Why did you? Ma'am? Why did you do that? Caleb looked down at her. He was still shaking. He was still crying, though he hadn't noticed until just this moment, and he wiped his face on his own soaked sleeve, which didn't do any good. Because I'm Navy, and we don't leave shipmates in the water. She closed her eyes. A tear rolled out of each one and traveled sideways into her wet hair. I gave an order. What? I gave an order. Yesterday morning, I gave it. And 43 men are dead because of the order I gave. Caleb didn't say anything. He couldn't not for a long second. Then he pulled his own soaked jacket off his back, and he laid it across her chest, and he lay down on the gravel beside her, and he put his arm across her to keep whatever heat was left between them from leaving. Ma'am, look at me. Hey, look at me. She opened her eyes. I don't know what you did. I don't know who you are. I don't know what those men were doing or what order you gave or any of it. But I know this. You are gonna live. You are gonna live, and you are gonna carry it. And I am gonna sit here on this rock with you until the ambulance gets here. You understand me? Her mouth moved. No sound came out. I said, do you understand me? She nodded one time small. Good. Behind them, up on the path, a small voice was shouting, Here, down here, my daddy is down here. And somewhere faint, a siren was starting. Caleb pressed his forehead against the wet, cold forehead of the stranger he had just pulled out of the water. He closed his eyes. He felt her breathing against his cheek, shallow, but there. What's your name, ma'am? A long pause, her breath on his face, the river behind them, the sirens getting closer. Lena, she whispered. Captain Lena Whitmore. Caleb's eyes opened. Just a fraction. Just enough, because he knew that name. He knew that name from a letter. A letter that had come in the mail 2 weeks ago. A letter signed by a Captain L. Whitmore, United States Navy Bureau of Naval Personnel. A letter telling him that his application for recall to active duty, the application he had put in 6 months ago when the bills had stopped being payable and the grief had stopped being bearable, and he had realized the only way to put a roof over his daughter's head was to go back to the only job he had ever been good at, had been approved. Captain L. Whitmore was his new commanding officer. Captain L. Whitmore was the reason he and Lily still had a house. Captain L. Whitmore was shaking in his arms on a gravel bank in 41-degree water, crying into his shoulder about 43 dead men. And Caleb Hayes, Navy widower, father 39 years old, soaked through hands numb, heart hammering against hers, did not say a single word. He just held on. The sirens came up over the ridge like a sound from another world, and for a second Caleb wasn't sure if they were real or if his own head was making them up because his head was starting to do things. His head was starting to slow down. His fingers were past cold. His fingers had stopped complaining, which was the part that scared him. Lena, Captain, stay with me. I'm here. Keep talking. Keep your mouth moving. I don't care what you say. I'm tired. No, ma'am. No tired. Not yet. Caleb. Yes, ma'am. Is that really your name? Yes, ma'am. Caleb what? Hayes. Caleb Hayes. HM 1 out 4 years honorable. You don't need to worry about any of that right now. She was quiet for a second. Her breath hitched against his shoulder. Hayes. Yes, ma'am. I know that name. Ma'am, don't think about that right now. Just breathe. Caleb Hayes. Please, ma'am, just breathe. And then she was quiet, and Caleb was grateful because his own teeth had started the hard chatter, and he didn't want her to hear it. Down here. My daddy is down here. He jumped in and he got her and he's down here. Hurry up. Lily's voice up on the path cracking at the top of every word, and Caleb had never in his life been so proud of a 7-year-old and so angry at a 7-year-old at the same time. Angry because she had seen this. Angry because no child should see her father in a river. Proud because she had kept her head. Proud because Rachel had raised a fighter before Rachel ran out of time to finish raising her. The first boot hit the gravel 10 feet from him. Then another. Then a third. Sir, we got you. Let go of her. Let us take her. We got her. She's hypothermic, unresponsive for 90 seconds after submersion, pulse back after 30 compressions, spontaneous respiration but shallow. I'm HM1. I did the CPR. She said her name's Lena Whitmore, Navy captain. You got her. Sir, we need you to stand up. Can you stand up? I'm fine. Sir, I'm fine, I said. Get her first. My daughter's up there. Get her first. Sir, you are not fine. Your lips are purple. Stand up. Let's go. Hands under his arms, hands lifting him off the rock he hadn't realized he was sitting on. His legs didn't work quite the way they were supposed to. A young medic, maybe 24, 25, was saying things into a radio that Caleb couldn't parse. Another medic was sliding a board under Lena. There was a blanket. Another blanket. There was a needle going into the back of her hand. Daddy. Bean. She was at his elbow. She had come down the bank on her own. She wasn't supposed to have come down the bank. She had come anyway. She was hanging on to his wet sleeve with both hands, and her face was a mask of something older than 7. Daddy, you're blue. I'm okay, Bean. Daddy, you're really, really blue. Somebody grab this kid, sir. Is she yours, sir? She's mine. She's mine. Lily, baby, go with the lady. Go with the lady right now. I don't want to. Lily, I'm not leaving you. A female paramedic, older gray at the temples, crouched down to Lily's eye level the way you crouch down to a scared dog. Her voice came out slow and warm. Hi, sweetheart. What's your name? Lily. Lily. My name is Sharon. Your daddy is a very brave man, and right now me and my friends are going to put him in the warm truck and fix him up, okay? And you can sit right next to him the whole time. Would that be okay? Yes. Okay. Come on, let's walk together. Is the lady going to die? No, honey. Daddy said she was going to die. Daddy saved her, honey. Come on. And Sharon took Lily's hand, and Lily let her take it, and they started up the path, and Caleb's legs finally understood what was being asked of them, and he put one foot in front of the other. He didn't see the stretcher go past. He heard it. He heard wheels on gravel, and he heard a voice say, Captain, Captain, can you hear me? Can you open your eyes for me? And he heard Lena's voice say something back that he couldn't make out, and then the stretcher was past him and going up the bank toward the ambulance, and he realized his jaw hurt from how hard he was clenching it. Sir, in here. A second ambulance, a different one. He hadn't even seen it pull up. Sir, up the step. He got up the step. He sat on the bench. Lily climbed up beside him and put both her arms around his waist and put her face against his wet ribs and did not let go. Lily, baby, you're getting wet. I don't care. Somebody put a blanket over him. Somebody else put a blanket over that. A heat pack went under one armpit, another under the other, a third against the back of his neck. Someone was asking him his age and his social security number and whether he was on any medications and whether he had eaten today. Cereal. I'm sorry. I had cereal this morning. With my daughter. Okay, sir, we need... Is she alive? Sir. Captain Whitmore. Is she alive? She's alive, sir. Stable. She's going to Mercy General. She's alive and she's breathing. That's what I can tell you right now. Caleb closed his eyes. For the first time in 45 minutes, he closed his eyes and he let the shaking come. and he let the tears come. And Lily's little arms tightened around him, and she whispered, "It's okay, Daddy. It's okay, Daddy. You got her. You got her. It's okay." They kept him at Mercy General for 6 hours. They warmed him up with IV fluids and heated blankets and a device the nurse called a bear hugger that blew warm air under a thin plastic sheet. They took his blood pressure every 15 minutes. They asked him questions about what day it was and who was president and whether he knew where he was, and he answered them all correctly, even the one about the president, which he had opinions about and kept to himself. Lily sat in the chair by his bed, with her pink coat still on, and her hair still in the crooked ponytail, and her eyes never once leaving his face. His mother-in-law Joyce showed up around 6, having driven 90 minutes from Millersburg after the hospital had called the emergency contact on his file. Joyce was 61, tough as boot leather, and she did not cry when she walked in. "You absolute idiot." "Hi, Joyce." "You absolute incredible idiot who jumps in a river in March. The kind of idiot you raised a daughter to marry." That got her. She sat down hard on the chair next to Lily's, and she put her hand over her mouth, and she stayed there for a long minute. Then she reached over and squeezed his foot through the blanket. "You scared your little girl." "I know." "You scared me." "I know. Rachel would have killed you. Rachel would have jumped in with me." Joyce let out one short, wet laugh. "Yeah, she would have." Lily, who had not spoken in an hour, looked up. "Grandma Daddy saved a lady." "I heard, sweetheart. She was all the way in the water." "I know. And her mouth was blue." "I know, sweetheart." "Daddy pushed on her chest like in the movies." Joyce looked at Caleb. Her eyes were doing a lot of things at once. "Did he now?" And she came back. "Did she?" "She threw up a lot of water, and then she talked to Daddy." "Did she say anything nice to him?" Lily thought about that. She said, "Why?" Joyce looked back at Caleb. "She asked you why." "She did." "What did you tell her?" "I told her I'm Navy. We don't leave shipmates in the water." Joyce wiped her nose on the back of her hand. "You never stop being it, do you?" "No, ma'am. I don't think you do." Around 7:30, a man in a dark suit and a government haircut knocked on the door of the hospital room and asked if he could come in, and Caleb knew before the man even opened his mouth what kind of a visit this was going to be. "Mr. Hayes." "HM1, sir," or "Mr. Hayes," either one. "HM1. My name is Commander Douglas Reeve. I'm with the base legal office at Naval Station Colville. Can I have a word?" "My daughter and my mother-in-law are here. If you'd prefer to speak in the hallway. Joyce, can you take Lily to find a vending machine for 10 minutes? "We already ate dinner, Daddy." "Then go find one and look at it, Bean. Go with Grandma." Joyce took Lily's hand, and Lily looked at the commander the way Lily looked at things she didn't trust, and Joyce walked her out. Commander Reeve closed the door softly behind them. "HM1, I'll keep this short. Captain Whitmore is alive because of you." "Yes, sir. She's resting in the ICU 2 floors up. She's stable. She's conscious. She's asked about you twice." "Yes, sir." "I don't need to tell you what kind of situation this is." "No, sir, you do not." A senior line officer of the United States Navy attempted to take her own life off the Route 9 overpass at approximately 3:15 this afternoon. A civilian, as far as any bystander is concerned, pulled her from the water. A civilian named Caleb Hayes, who happened to be on the path with his young daughter. That is the story. That is what happened. Are we clear? "Sir, with respect, I am not a civilian." HM1. My recall orders came in the mail 2 weeks ago. I shipped to Colville in 9 days. Captain Whitmore signed those orders, Commander. I know her name. The commander was quiet for a second. His face did not move. "I am aware of your orders, HM1. Then you know what she is to me." "I know what she was to you as of this morning." "Sir, HM1. Listen to me, son. Right now, in that hospital room upstairs, there is a woman who has been carrying something for 6 weeks that no one in the command had any idea she was carrying. She lost men. She lost good men. And she did what some of our best people do, which is she kept getting up and she kept showing up, and she kept signing the papers. And then today, at 3 in the afternoon on her lunch hour, she went to a bridge. Are you following? Yes, sir. You saved her life. You did a thing today that almost nobody in this country would have done, and you did it in front of your own child. Which is a hell of a thing. I don't have time to properly thank you for right now. But, M1, hear me. The Navy now has a decision to make about Captain Whitmore. And whatever decision the Navy makes, it is going to be easier to make if the man who pulled her out of the water is a private citizen with a little girl, and not a corpsman who reports to her desk in 9 days. Caleb was quiet. Am I being asked to lie, sir? No, HM1. You are being asked to be careful with a truth that is already true. Your orders can be held. Your orders can be rerouted. You can go to a different command. That is not a punishment. That is a courtesy. To her and to you. Sir, I have a mortgage that is 47 days past due. I have a 7-year-old who just watched me do CPR on a stranger. I have a pickup with 210,000 miles on it and a dent in the quarter panel I can't afford to fix. I need those orders to land where they're landing. I need that paycheck. I cannot be rerouted, sir, not unless somebody is going to explain to my daughter why I can't buy groceries. The commander looked at him for a long time. HM1. Yes, sir. You and I are going to figure this out. Do you understand me? Yes, sir. Tonight is not the night we figure it out. No, sir. Tonight you are a man who saved a stranger, that is all. When you leave this hospital, you take your daughter home, and you feed her, and you put her to bed, and you do not discuss the captain with any member of the press. If anyone calls you, do not know her name. Are we clear? Yes, sir. If the captain asks to see you, and she might, you may see her, briefly. You do not discuss orders. You do not discuss the command. You let her heal. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Good man. Commander Reeve turned for the door. Then he stopped. He turned back. HM1. Sir, for what it's worth, son, what you did today, that is the best of us. That is the absolute best of us. Thank you. Sir. The commander left. Caleb sat alone in the hospital bed for about 40 seconds before Joyce and Lily came back. Lily with a granola bar she had apparently acquired somehow. Joyce with the look of a woman who had been listening outside the door for at least part of that conversation. Who was that man, Daddy? A Navy man, Bean. Are you in trouble? No, Bean, no trouble. Then why was he here? Because grown-up things are complicated, and sometimes when a grown-up thing happens, other grown-ups come and talk about it, that's all. Oh. Joyce raised an eyebrow at him. Caleb shook his head, small, the shake that meant not now. Joyce nodded small, the nod that meant fine. Later, you are going to tell me everything. They kept him overnight. Joyce took Lily back to the house on Birchwood Road, promising she'd feed her spaghetti and let her sleep in the big bed, and Lily clung to Caleb's hand for a long time before she agreed to leave. Bean. Yeah. I'll be home in the morning. Promise. I promise. Don't jump in any more rivers. I won't, Bean. Not ever. Not ever. She kissed his cheek. Joyce carried her out. The door closed. At 10:15 that night, a nurse in dark blue scrubs knocked on his door. Mr. Hayes? Yes, ma'am. Captain Whitmore is awake and has asked to see you. Are you up to a short visit? Yes, ma'am. You'll need to use a wheelchair. Hospital policy. Yes, ma'am. She wheeled him down the hall. Into the elevator. Up 2 floors. Down another hall. Past a pair of uniformed MPs standing quietly outside a closed door who nodded at him, one of them whispering, HM1, under his breath as the wheelchair passed. Word travels fast in the Navy. The nurse opened the door. She wheeled him in. She stepped back out. The door closed behind her. Lena Whitmore was sitting up in her bed. She had a warming blanket around her shoulders and a nasal cannula in her nose and an IV in her left hand and a bruise spreading across her right cheekbone where the river had given her something to remember. Her hair was down, still wet in places. She looked 42 years old and about 200. Mr. Hayes. Ma'am? They said you were downstairs. Yes, ma'am. Come closer. He wheeled himself closer. Closer, Mr. Hayes. I'm not contagious. Ma'am. He wheeled himself right up to the side of her bed. He stopped. His hands folded themselves in his lap on top of the blanket the nurse had put there. Lena looked at him. She looked at him for a long, long time. Her eyes went over his face the way a woman's eyes go over the face of someone she is trying to memorize. Then she closed her eyes. A tear slid down the bruised cheekbone. You're the man. Yes, ma'am. You are the man in the river. Yes, ma'am. I dreamed you. Ma'am? I dreamed you, Mr. Hayes. While I was under. I dreamed a man who wouldn't let me go. I thought it was a dream. Caleb swallowed. His throat was dry. It wasn't a dream, ma'am. No, I see that. They were quiet. Somewhere down the hall a machine beeped. Mr. Hayes. Ma'am? May I ask you something? Yes, ma'am. Why did you do it? Caleb opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Ma'am, I'm not real good with... I don't know how to say pretty things. I'm sorry. Say the ugly version, then. He took a breath. My wife died 3 years ago, ma'am, on our kitchen floor. Aneurysm. I did compressions on her for 18 minutes, and she died anyway, and for 3 years, I have been a man who didn't get there in time. I saw you on that bridge, ma'am, and I had a chance to be a man who got there in time. And I couldn't not take it. That's the ugly version. I'm sorry. Lena's eyes were wet. She didn't look away. Mr. Hayes. Ma'am? You understand that is not a good reason to risk your life. No, ma'am. I suppose it isn't. You have a daughter. I do, ma'am. She could have lost her father today. Yes, ma'am. Because of me. No, ma'am. Not because of you. I made a choice, ma'am. I jumped. That's on me. Mr. Hayes. Ma'am, please. If I could say one thing. Say it. I don't know what happened to you. I don't know about the 43 men. The commander who came to talk to me, he didn't tell me a thing about it, and I didn't ask. But ma'am, whatever it is, I am going to ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it tonight. You don't have to answer it ever. But I am going to ask it. Ask. Would those men want you to go in that river? Lena went absolutely still. I'm asking, ma'am, those 43, the ones you carry. Would they want you to be in that water today? Do you think any one of them would have wanted that? She didn't answer. Her face moved in a way that Caleb had seen a few times in his life. It was the face of something cracking that had been held shut for a very long time. I don't know, Mr. Hayes. Yes, you do, ma'am. I gave an order. Yes, ma'am, you did. You gave an order and men died. And that is a thing you are going to carry for the rest of your life, and I cannot help you with it, and I am not going to try. But I'll tell you this. A man who would want his CO to go in that river over him, I have never met that man. Not in 8 years. Not one. Lena closed her eyes. The tears came faster now. Mr. Hayes? Ma'am? I need to tell you something. Yes, ma'am. They told me the commander was in here before you. They told me who you are. Yes, ma'am. HM1 Caleb Hayes, recall to active duty, reporting to Naval Station Colville in 9 days, assigned to the command of the Executive Officer's office. Yes, ma'am, that's me. I signed those orders, Mr. Hayes. Yes, ma'am, I know. You knew. I knew when you told me your name on the bank, ma'am. And you didn't say? No, ma'am. Why? Because it didn't matter. It matters, Mr. Hayes. Not on a rock in the cold it didn't, ma'am. And not tonight either. Tonight, ma'am, you are a person. And I am a person. And I am glad you are breathing. And that is where we stop tonight. She opened her eyes. She looked at him for a very long time. Her face was doing things he couldn't read. Mr. Hayes. Ma'am. Please go home. Yes, ma'am. And please come back tomorrow. Caleb nodded. Once. Yes, ma'am. If you want me to, I will. I want you to. Then I will. He wheeled himself backward. He reached for the door. He paused, one hand on the handle, and he looked back at her one more time. This stranger he had pulled out of a river. This woman whose name was on the letter that had saved his family. This officer who had been going to die and now was not. Ma'am. Yes. You did the right thing by breathing. She put her hand over her mouth. She nodded. She could not speak. Caleb Hayes wheeled himself out and closed the door softly behind him and let the nurse push him all the way back down to his own room, and he did not say a word the whole way because there were none left in him that were any good. They discharged him at 7:45 the next morning with a prescription for something he wasn't going to fill and a lecture from a doctor who looked about 12 years old about the dangers of cold water immersion in men over 35. Caleb signed the papers with a hand that still didn't quite work right and walked out into the parking lot in a pair of scrubs the hospital had given him because his own clothes were in a biohazard bag somewhere. Joyce was waiting by the truck. Lily was in the booster seat with her face against the window. "Morning, Joyce. You look like a man who got run over by a tractor. Feel like one. Get in the truck." He got in the truck. Joyce drove. She didn't ask him to. She just slid behind the wheel and put it in drive, and Caleb leaned his head against the cold passenger window, and Lily in the back seat reached up with one small hand and put it on his shoulder and kept it there the whole way home. "Daddy." "Yeah, Bean." "Grandma says you're famous." "What?" "She says you're on the news." Caleb turned his head slowly. "Joyce." "I'm not the one who put you on there, Caleb." "What news?" Channel 4, Channel 7, the paper. Somebody on the bridge had a phone out. Somebody else on the path had one. They don't have your name yet. They got the truck in one of them. The license plate is blurry, thank God. But they got the jacket. Which jacket? Your Navy jacket, Caleb. The one with the patch. It's in a biohazard bag at the hospital. The video is not in a biohazard bag at the hospital. He closed his eyes. Joyce? I know. Joyce, I specifically. There is a commander, a Navy commander, who came to the hospital last night. I heard most of it. Then you know I can't. Caleb, honey, I know. I'm telling you what's on the news. I am not telling you to go on the news. I am telling you that when we get home your phone is going to ring and the doorbell is going to ring and you are going to have to make some decisions. Joyce? Yeah. How's she doing? Lily? Yeah. Joyce looked in the rearview mirror. Lily was pretending not to listen, which was what Lily always did when she was listening hardest. She woke up twice in the night, Caleb. Once at 1, once at 4. Both times she came to the bedroom door and just stood there until I noticed her. Oh God. At 4 she climbed in with me and said, "Grandma, what if the lady dies?" And I said, "The lady is not going to die, baby." And she said, "What if my daddy dies?" And I said, "Your daddy is not going to die either." And she said, "But what if?" And I didn't have an answer for her, Caleb, because what if? Joyce, I know. I'm not fighting with you. I'm telling you. They pulled into the driveway on Birchwood Road. 3 news vans were parked across the street. Caleb saw them and felt something quiet and mean come up his throat. Joyce? I see them. Pull into the garage. I'm pulling into the garage. She pulled into the garage. Caleb pressed the button on the visor. The door rolled down behind them and sealed off the world. Daddy. Yes, Bean. Why are those people outside our house? Because grown-ups are nosy, Bean. Are they gonna come in? No, Bean. Promise. I promise. He got her out of the booster. He carried her into the kitchen and set her on the counter and made her a bowl of cereal she didn't eat. Joyce made coffee. The coffee was the first thing in 10 hours that tasted like anything, and Caleb drank it in silence while he stood at the counter and watched his daughter pretend to eat. At 9:15, the landline rang. Caleb picked it up. Hello? Mr. Hayes, this is Tanya Brockwell with Channel 4 News. He hung up. At 9:17, it rang again. Hello? Mr. Hayes, good morning, my name is... He hung up. He reached behind the phone and unplugged it from the wall. He set the handset down on the counter and looked at Joyce. What am I going to do, Joyce? You're going to let me answer the door, and I'm going to tell them all to go to hell with the Lord's blessing. Joyce. You watch me. At 9:40, the doorbell rang and Joyce put on her church face and her church cardigan and went to the front door, and Caleb sat on the kitchen floor with Lily in his lap and heard through 2 walls the unmistakable sound of his mother-in-law peeling the paint off a 24-year-old reporter. On private property. Young lady, I don't care what the story is, that is a child in there. Do you understand me? A 7-year-old child who watched her father nearly die yesterday, no. You may not? Lily in his lap started to giggle. Grandma's mad. Grandma is very mad. Grandma's gonna make the lady cry. Grandma is gonna make all of them cry, Bean. Good. She put her head against his chest. He rocked her just a little back and forth, and he held her, and he listened to his dead wife's mother run off the press. And for about 30 seconds, Caleb Hayes remembered what it felt like to be taken care of. His cell phone buzzed on the counter. He didn't get up to look at it. It buzzed again. Then it buzzed a third time, and that was the pattern 3 in a row that he had set for one particular number, and he stood up and set Lily on the chair and went to the counter. The screen said, CDR, Reeve, Base Legal. He picked up. Sir? HM1. You seen the news? Yes, sir? They don't have your name yet. No, sir. That is going to change by noon, HM1. Somebody on that bridge is going to identify you. The truck is going to be traced. Somebody at the hospital is going to leak it. That is how this works. Yes, sir. I am authorizing a statement through the base public affairs officer. 1 paragraph. Your name, your former rank, the fact that you are a widower and a single father and a good Samaritan. No mention of the captain by name. No mention of your recall. Nothing. You do not give interviews. You do not confirm. You do not deny. You are a private citizen who had a bad Tuesday. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Stay inside today. Stay off social media. If the press comes to the door, you do not answer the door. My mother-in-law is already answering it, sir. Then God help the press. Yes, sir. HM1. Sir. The captain is asking for you again. Sir, the press. There is a back entrance at Mercy General, service dock. I will have a man meet you at 11:30. You come in through the kitchen. You go up the service elevator. You see her for 20 minutes. You come out the same way. Are we clear? Yes, sir. Can I bring my daughter? A pause. HM1. Sir, she has been asking about the lady. She has been asking all night. She watched me pull a woman out of the water and put my mouth on her mouth to breathe, sir. And she is 7 years old, and I cannot explain to her that that woman is alive unless she sees her alive. Another pause. Longer. Bring her. Yes, sir. 11:30. Kitchen dock. A petty officer named Vasquez will meet you. She will be in civilian clothes. She will know your face. Yes, sir? HM1. Sir, how are you holding up, son? I'm upright, sir. That's not what I asked. It's what I've got, sir. Understood. 11:30. The call ended. Joyce came back into the kitchen with the color high in her cheeks and a smile on her face that Caleb had not seen since the funeral. They're packing up. Yeah. One of them asked me if I'd be willing to go on camera. What did you tell him? I told him his mother raised him better than that and asked if she was still living so I could call her. Joyce. I don't lie, Caleb. I'm too old. He half laughed. It was the first laugh in a day. It hurt his ribs. Joyce. I need to go back to the hospital at 11:30. I'm bringing Lily. Caleb. She needs to see that the lady is alive. She needs to. Joyce thought about that. She crossed her arms over her church cardigan. She looked at her granddaughter, who was still in the chair swinging her feet. All right? Thank you. You want me to come? No. I think this is a thing just for the 3 of us. Joyce nodded slow. She understood a lot of things without being told Joyce did. It was the thing about her Rachel had inherited, and the thing about her Lily was going to inherit, and the thing about her that made Caleb Hayes willing to have her in his kitchen for the rest of his natural life. All right, Caleb. I'll make lunch for when you get back. Petty Officer Vasquez met them at the kitchen dock at 11:30 sharp. She was maybe 26, small brown hair, pulled back wearing jeans and a zip-up hoodie, and the only thing that gave her away as Navy was the way she stood still. HM1 Hayes. Petty Officer. Follow me, please, ma'am. Vasquez crouched down to Lily's eye level. Hey, my name is Petty Officer Vasquez. I work for the Navy with your daddy. Can I walk with you two up to the room where the lady is? Lily studied her very seriously. Are you a sailor? Yes, ma'am. Like Daddy was? Yes, ma'am. Did you save anybody too? Not like your daddy, ma'am. Your daddy did something special. Lily nodded once the way she nodded when a grown-up answered a question correctly. Okay, you can walk with us. Vasquez took them in through the kitchens, past a loading area full of carts of food, up a service elevator that smelled like lemon cleaner, and out onto a floor Caleb hadn't been on the night before. Two MPs in civilian clothes were standing at the end of the hall, doing the thing where they pretended they weren't standing at the end of the hall. One of them nodded at Vasquez. She's awake. Doc was just in. She's cleared for 20. Thank you. Vasquez stopped outside the door. She crouched again for Lily. Ma'am, the lady in this room, her name is Miss Lena. She is alive because of your daddy, but she is very tired, and she has some bruises, and she is in a hospital bed. Is that okay? I've seen a hospital bed before. You have, when my mommy died. Vasquez's face did something Caleb couldn't watch. She nodded. I'm sorry, ma'am. It's okay. Daddy says mommy's somewhere else now. Your daddy is right. Vasquez stood up. She looked at Caleb over Lily's head. There was something in her eyes, respect and grief, and something else that made Caleb have to look at the floor for a second. 20 minutes, HM1. Yes. She opened the door. Lena Whitmore was sitting up in bed. She was dressed in a gray navy sweatshirt somebody had brought her with, her hair pulled back, and the bruise on her cheekbone was worse in daylight than it had been the night before. An IV was still in her hand. The nasal cannula was gone. She saw Caleb first. Her face did the thing a face does when it is trying not to do anything. Then she saw Lily, and her face did something else entirely, and she pressed her fingertips to her mouth. Oh. Ma'am. Mr. Hayes, you brought her. She wanted to come, ma'am. Lily stood beside him. Her hand locked around two of his fingers, and she looked up at Lena with the full, unblinking seriousness a 7-year-old can bring to bear. Are you the lady? I'm the lady, honey. The one from the river. Yes. You're not dead. No, honey, I'm not. Because my daddy pushed on your chest. That's right. And blew in your mouth. That's right. Daddy said you threw up a lot of water. I did. Was it gross? Lena's mouth trembled. She pressed her lips together. She shook her head. It was the best throwing up I've ever done, honey. Lily thought about that. She nodded once. Okay. Okay. Miss Lena? Yes, honey. Are you sad still? Caleb's hand tightened around Lily's fingers. He didn't pull her back. He let her ask. A father learns somewhere along the way which questions his child has a right to ask, even when they're the questions a grown-up would flinch from. Lena did not flinch. She looked at the little girl. She looked for a long time. Then she patted the edge of the bed. Can you come up here with me, honey? Lily looked up at Caleb. Caleb nodded. Lily walked over to the bed, and Lena patted the space beside her, and Lily climbed up careful of the IV line and sat herself cross-legged on the blanket about a foot from Lena's knees. Honey, yes, I'm still sad. Oh, but I am less sad than I was yesterday. Why? Because your daddy asked me a question that I'm thinking about. What question? A question for grown-ups. Oh, but honey, here's a thing I can tell you. Sad doesn't go away all at once. When my mommy died, I was very, very sad for a very long time. Your mommy died too. When I was 17. 17 is old. Not old enough, honey. Lily nodded gravely. She processed this. Then she reached out slowly, and she put her small hand on Lena's hand, the hand without the IV. Miss Lena. Yes. Don't do it again. The river thing. Lena's face crumpled. Caleb took one step forward, then stopped himself. He let it happen. It needed to happen. I won't, honey. Promise. I promise. Because my daddy can't keep jumping in rivers. He's too old. A laugh broke out of Lena. A laugh and a sob at the same time. She put her free hand over her eyes. Okay, honey. I promise. No more rivers. Okay. Lily scooted herself a little closer on the bed. She didn't take her hand off Lena's. She turned her head and looked back at Caleb, and her face said, "I've got this. Daddy, you can stop worrying." And Caleb Hayes, standing in the corner of a hospital room, watching his 7-year-old comfort a 42-year-old Navy captain who had jumped off a bridge the day before, understood suddenly and completely that he was not the strongest person in his own house. His throat closed up. He looked at the ceiling. "Mr. Hayes." "Ma'am?" "Would you sit down?" He sat down in the chair by the bed. Lily was still holding Lena's hand. She was now telling Lena in some detail about the granola bar Joyce had bought her at the hospital vending machine the night before, and how it had been the chocolate chip kind. But only the outside was chocolate, and the inside was oats, and Lena was listening with a solemn focus that Caleb recognized. It was the focus of a drowning person who has been handed unexpectedly a piece of dry land. "And so I ate only the chocolate part, and Grandma said that wasn't how granola bars work." "Your grandma sounds tough." "She is very tough. Like your daddy." "Daddy is tougher." "Is he?" "Yes. Daddy jumped in the river." "You're right. Daddy is tougher." Lily nodded, satisfied with the hierarchy. After a few minutes, Lena looked over the top of Lily's head at Caleb. "Mr. Hayes?" "Ma'am, your daughter is saving my life. I think she's saving both of ours, ma'am. I don't know how to thank you for bringing her." "You don't have to, ma'am." "Mr. Hayes?" "Ma'am?" "I've been thinking since last night about what you asked me." "Yes, ma'am." "The question?" "Yes, ma'am." "Would they want me in the water?" "Yes, ma'am." "No, they wouldn't." "No, ma'am." "I knew that already. I think I knew it for 6 weeks. I just didn't want to know it." "Yes, ma'am." Lena looked down at Lily, who was now trying to count Lena's fingers for some reason Caleb didn't understand. "Mr. Hayes." "Ma'am?" "I am not going to be your commanding officer." Caleb went still. "Ma'am, I'm putting in my papers. I'm done, Mr. Hayes. I have been done for 6 weeks and did not know it. A captain who jumps off a bridge on her lunch hour is not a captain anymore. I am going to do it the right way, and I am going to take the treatment, and I am going to find out what kind of a person I am on the other side of this. But I am not going to be in uniform when you report on the 29th. Ma'am, if this is because of me, it isn't Mr. Hayes. Ma'am, my situation I told the commander last night, my mortgage, I need that posting, Mr. Hayes, stop, please." He stopped. "You will have the posting. Your orders are good. My replacement will honor them. You will report on the 29th, and you will do the job, and you will take the paycheck, and you will not miss your mortgage again. That is one thing I can still do for you, and I am going to do it." "Ma'am?" "Mr. Hayes, I am not stepping down because of you. I am stepping down because it is time. You gave me the last push. I thank you for that. But the decision was already there." Caleb didn't know what to say. He nodded one time. It felt inadequate. Everything felt inadequate. Lena looked back down at Lily, who had finished counting fingers. There were 5 on each hand, a finding Lily seemed to find reassuring, and who was now leaning her small blonde head against Lena's sweatshirt sleeve. "Honey." "Yes, Miss Lena." "Can I tell you something?" "Okay." "A long time ago, before I was sad, I had a daughter too." Caleb's head came up. "She would have been about your age, a little older, 9 actually. Her name was Emily." "Where is she?" "She got sick, honey, a long time ago, when she was 4. "Oh. And I have been sad about it for a very long time. Almost as long as your daddy has been sad about your mommy." "Oh." Lily was quiet for a second. She did the thing she did when she was thinking. She chewed her lower lip. "Miss Lena." "Yes." "My mommy and your Emily are probably friends." Lena closed her eyes. 2 tears slid down at once. "I think so too, honey. Maybe they're together right now. Maybe they are. Maybe they're the ones that told my daddy to jump." Caleb felt something in his chest come undone. He put his face in his hands for just a second, just long enough to get it back. "Mr. Hayes?" "Ma'am?" "I would like to know your daughter." "Yes, ma'am." "I mean it, not as an officer, not as anybody's CO. Just if you would let me. When I am out of here, when I am well enough, I would like to know your daughter. Yes, ma'am. And you, Mr. Hayes, if you'll have me around? Yes, ma'am. We'll have you around. A knock at the door. Vasquez. HM1. Time. Yes. Lily climbed down off the bed, careful of the IV, and she stood beside Caleb and took his fingers again. Bye, Miss Lena. Bye, honey. Don't be sad. I'll try, honey. If you're sad, you can tell me and my daddy. I will, honey. Caleb met Lena's eyes one more time across the room. Neither of them said anything. They didn't have to. What passed between them was not the thing the old movies made it out to be. It was something quieter and harder and older than that. It was the look two people give each other when they have both been underwater for a very long time, and have just in the last 10 minutes remembered what air tastes like. He turned. He walked his daughter out. Vasquez closed the door softly behind them, and in the service elevator going down, Lily leaned her head against his hip and said, Daddy. Yeah, Bean. I like her. I know Bean. Can we come back tomorrow? And Caleb Hayes, who had thought yesterday that he knew every road his life was going to run on, looked at the elevator buttons and took a long, steady breath. Yeah, Bean. We can come back tomorrow. They came back the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. On the fourth day, Lena was moved from the ICU to a regular room, and on the fifth day, a psychiatrist in a gray cardigan started coming in for an hour every morning, and on the sixth day, Lena told Caleb that the psychiatrist had a name like a children's book character, and was the kindest human being she had ever met. What's the name, ma'am? Dr. Poppy. You're lying. I am not lying. Poppy Lindqvist. She is Swedish. She wears cardigans in every color of the rainbow. She asked me yesterday if I would draw her a picture of the bridge. Did you do it? I did it. What did it look like? Lena was quiet a second. It looked like a bridge, Mr. Hayes. Yes, ma'am. And there was a woman on the wrong side of the rail, and a long way down there was a river, and a long way past the river there was a man, and the man was too far away to reach her. Caleb didn't say anything. Dr. Poppy asked me who the man was. Yes, ma'am. I said I didn't know. I said I'd never seen his face. Ma'am? She asked me what the man looked like. I said he looked like somebody I was waiting for and didn't know I was waiting for. Caleb looked at his hands. Lily was downstairs in the hospital lobby with Joyce, who had decided at age 61 to befriend every volunteer at the information desk. The room was quiet. Ma'am, I don't know how to answer that. You don't have to answer it, Mr. Hayes. I'm telling you because I said I would tell you the truth. Yes, ma'am. You are going to have to stop calling me ma'am at some point, Mr. Hayes. Ma'am, I am a Navy man who spent 8 years saying ma'am to officers, and 4 years saying ma'am to my mother-in-law, and I do not know another way to address a woman I respect. Lena. Ma'am. Lena. Try it. Lena. Again. Lena. Better. Yes, ma, yes, Lena. She smiled. It was the second real smile he'd seen on her face in 6 days. The first had come the day before, when Lily had brought her a drawing of Lena and Caleb, and Lily standing on a bank, all holding hands, and labeled it in green crayon, "The Three of Us." She was discharged on day 9. The Navy, through a chain of decisions Caleb was not privy to, had arranged for a short-term rental in a quiet neighborhood on the east side of town, a furnished one-bedroom with a little front porch and a locking gate where Lena could stay while she finished her outpatient program at the Millbrook Foyer. Commander Reeve drove her there himself. Caleb did not go. He had been asked by the commander to give her a few days of space in which to get her feet under her, and Caleb, who had been a sailor long enough to know the shape of a reasonable order, said yes, sir, and took his daughter to the park instead. Daddy? Yeah, Bean. Is Miss Lena still sad? A little, Bean, less than before. Do you think she misses us? I think she does. Daddy? Yeah? When do we see her again? Couple days, Bean. She's got to get settled. Oh. Lily was silent for about 30 seconds, which for Lily was a long silence. Daddy? Yeah. Are you going to marry Miss Lena? Caleb nearly choked. Lily, are you? Bean, where are you getting this? Grandma said. Grandma said what? Grandma said, God help me, I think he's gonna marry her. When did Grandma say that? On the phone. To somebody. Yesterday. Caleb made a mental note to have a discussion with Joyce, and then a second mental note that having a discussion with Joyce was a thing no man had ever won. Bean, listen to me. Okay. Miss Lena and Daddy are friends. Do you understand? Yes. Because she was in the river, and because I was on the bridge, and because we're both Navy, and because we both have stuff in our hearts that hurts. Okay. Okay. And Daddy is not there is no one in Daddy's life like Mommy was. Do you understand? Yes. Mommy is Mommy. And even though Mommy is gone, Mommy is still Mommy. I know that, Daddy. Okay. Daddy. Yeah. But Miss Lena can still live in our house if she wants. Lily. I'm just saying. Caleb looked at his daughter for a long second. Then he put his hand on her head and ruffled her hair, and he said, Okay, Bean. And she went back to trying to dig a hole to China under the swing set. On the 11th day after the river, he went over to her rental for the first time. He had asked Joyce to watch Lily. He had put on his good jeans and his one button-down shirt that Rachel had picked out at Kohl's before she died, the one he had not worn in 3 years, and he had stood in front of his own bathroom mirror for a full minute, trying to figure out how he was going to say what he'd come to say, and he had not figured it out. He knocked. Lena answered in jeans and a soft gray t-shirt. Her hair was down. The bruise on her cheekbone had faded to a faint yellow. She looked for the first time like a person instead of a patient. Mr. Hayes? Caleb. Caleb, come in. He came in. The rental was small and sparse, a little kitchen with a white tea kettle on the stove, a couch, a bookshelf with about 6 books on it, all of them clearly hers, because they were the kind of books a Navy officer reads a biography of Nimitz, a stoic anthology, a copy of The Things They Carried that looked like it had been opened 200 times. I put on water. I didn't know what you drank. Coffee, if you got it. I got instant. Instant's fine. She made him a cup of instant coffee. He sat on the couch. She sat on the other end of the couch. She folded her hands in her lap. Caleb. Melina. I want to say some things, and then I want to hear some things. Is that okay? Yes. First, I signed the papers this morning. I'm out. Medical retirement. It's official. Okay. I expected to feel something I don't feel. Like what? Like I died. I thought I would feel like I died. Do you? No, I feel like I got out of a car I was never meant to be driving. Caleb nodded. He understood that one. Second, Dr. Poppy and I talked today about what happens now. For me. Not about you. About me. Good. I have to do some things I have not done. I have to go home. My mother is alive. I have not spoken to her in 6 months. I have a sister in Ohio who has a son I have never met. I have a daughter in a small grave in Virginia that I have not visited in 2 years. These are things I have to do, Caleb, and I have to do them before I do anything else. Yes. I wanted you to hear that from me. Yes. Third. Yes. She looked at her hands, then at him. Caleb, what happens on that bank was not nothing. No. And what has happened in that hospital room every afternoon for the last 9 days is not nothing either. No. But I am not a person you can trust right now. Not with what is happening. Not with what I feel when your daughter walks in the room. Not with what I feel when you sit there and don't call me ma'am. Lena? Let me finish. Yes. A person who walks off a bridge on a Tuesday is not a person who gets to say yes or no to another human being on a Wednesday. I did not earn the right to sit on a couch with you and tell you what I feel. I have to earn that right. How long? I don't know, Caleb. Okay, a few months, maybe longer. I will not be gone. I will not disappear. I will call. I will write. I will answer when you call. But I am going home to Virginia, and I am going to sit on my mother's porch, and I am going to visit a small grave, and I am going to find out who Lena Whitmore is, with no uniform on her, And until I know that I have no business asking a man like you to know me. Caleb set the coffee cup down on the little table. His hands were steady. He was surprised. Lena. Yes. Can I say what I was going to say when I walked in? Yes. I came over here to tell you that I am in no position. I came over here to tell you I have a 7-year-old who still wakes up calling for her mother some nights. I came over here to tell you that the grief in my house is a thing Lily and I take turns carrying, and there is not room in that house right now for a grown woman to move in and start unpacking. I came over here to tell you that whatever you and I are, it has to be patient because I cannot be a husband to anybody yet. I am barely a father on Tuesdays. Lena was very still. I came over here to say that Lena. And then you opened the door and you said most of it before I could. Lena laughed, a single surprised laugh. She put her hand over her mouth. Oh, yeah. We were walking toward each other with the same speech. Apparently. So what do? We do what you said. You go to Virginia. I report on the 29th. We write. We call. We see where we are in 6 months. A year. Whatever it takes. And if we get to a place where there's a place to get to, we get there when we get there. And your daughter. Lily loves you already. Lily is gonna be fine. Lily is more ready for this than I am, Lena. Because Lily is 7 and still believes the world can be kind. Yeah, that's right. Caleb. Yes. One more thing. Yes. If I ever have a day like that again, a day that bad, I am going to call you first. Before the river, before anything. That is the promise I am making to you. Do you hear me? I hear you. I need you to say it back. If you ever have a day that bad again, you call me first. Do you promise me you will answer? Lena, I will answer you if I am 86 years old and in a hospital bed. I will answer. She nodded. She took a long breath. She wiped her eyes with the heel of her hand. Okay. Can I ask you something? Yes. Before I go, one question. Yes. If I asked you to stay tonight, not like that. I don't mean just stay in the chair and read and not go. If I asked you that, would you stay? He looked at her. If you asked me that, Lena, I would stay. If I said, will you stay? Her voice broke. She tried again. If I said, will you stay? If I undress, will you still stay? Will you still sit in that chair and not move? That is what I was asking when I was in the water, Caleb. Not what it sounds like. I was asking, will anybody stay? If I am all the way the person I am, if I am all the way broken, if I take off the uniform, will anybody stay? Caleb sat very still. Lena, yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes tonight. The answer is yes in 6 months. The answer is yes in a year. The answer is yes when you are old and mean, and I am old and deaf, and Lily is 45 and married to somebody I don't like. The answer is yes, Lena. I will stay in the chair. I am not asking for anything. I am telling you. The answer is yes. She crossed the couch. She did not kiss him. She put her forehead against his shoulder. She cried for about 90 seconds without making a sound. He did not move. He did not put his arm around her. He sat there the way a man sits when he understands that what is happening is holy, and he let her cry into his shirt. And when she was done, she pulled back and wiped her face, and she said, "Thank you." Yes. I am going to Virginia on Friday. Okay. I'll call you Sunday. I'll pick up. He stood. He went to the door. She stood and followed him. At the door he turned. Lena. Yes. I have to say one more thing. Yes. Tomorrow I want to bring Lily over. Before you go. I want her to see where you lived for 2 weeks. I want her to know you didn't disappear. Please. Okay. Caleb. Yes. Thank you. For the river. Yes, ma'am. Lena. Yes, Lena. He went home. Friday morning at 6:45, Caleb parked the pickup in front of Lena's rental. She was on the porch with a small suitcase and a canvas duffel and a cup of coffee in a paper cup. She was in civilian clothes. jeans, a long wool coat, hair pulled back. He got out. He walked around. He opened the back door of the pickup. Lily was in the booster seat in her pajamas, still half asleep, her pink backpack on her lap. "Bean, Lena's here." Lily opened her eyes. She looked at Lena through the window. She smiled the big, slow smile of a child who has been woken up to see her favorite grown-up. Lena put her hand to her mouth. She came down the porch steps. She crouched beside the open door. "Hey, honey." "Hi, Miss Lena. I came to say bye before you go to school. Daddy said you were going far away." "Just for a while, honey. I have to go see my mommy." "Is she sad too?" "Probably, honey. I haven't seen her in a long time." "You should go see her then." "Yeah." "Miss Lena." "Yes, honey. I made you something." Lily unzipped the pink backpack. She pulled out a drawing folded into quarters. She handed it over. Lena unfolded it. It was a new drawing. 4 figures, this time standing on a bank. Lily, Caleb, Lena, and a 4th person smaller with long dark hair and a smile. Next to the 4th person in green crayon was one word, Emily. Lena put her hand over her face. "Honey, Daddy said Emily isn't here anymore, but I wanted her to be in the picture anyway." Lena couldn't speak. She pulled Lily out of the booster seat into her arms, and she held her there on the sidewalk for a long time. And Lily, who normally didn't let grown-ups hold her that long, let her. Over Lily's head, Lena looked at Caleb. Her eyes said everything her mouth couldn't. He nodded. Once. "Okay, Bean." He said it softly. "We gotta get you to school. Miss Lena has a plane to catch." Lena set Lily down. She buckled her back into the booster. She kissed the top of her head. "Bye, honey." "Bye, Miss Lena. Call my daddy." "I will." "Pinky swear." "Pinky swear." They did the pinky swear. Caleb closed the door. He and Lena stood on the sidewalk. The sun was just coming up over the houses. Well. Sunday. Sunday. Safe flight, Lena. Take care of your daughter, Caleb. I always do. She picked up her suitcase. The cab she had called was pulling around the corner. She walked to it. She did not look back until she had the handle of the back door in her hand, and then she turned and she looked at him one more time. "Caleb." "Yes." "Will you stay?" "Yes." She nodded. She got in the cab. The cab drove away. Caleb Hayes stood on the sidewalk until he couldn't see it anymore. Then he got back in the pickup and he drove his daughter to school, and he reported for duty on the 29th, and the world, which is cruel, began the slow, patient work of being kind. Sunday came. At 6:15 in the evening, Caleb Hayes was in the kitchen stirring a pot of spaghetti sauce out of a jar when his phone rang on the counter. The screen said, "Unknown Virginia." He wiped his hand on a dish towel. He picked up. "Hayes." "Caleb." "Lena." "I'm on my mother's porch." "Yeah." "She didn't know I was coming. She opened the door and didn't recognize me for about 3 seconds. Then she did. And she didn't say anything. She stepped out and she put her arms around me and she said, 'Lena Marie, where have you been?'" "Oh." "I haven't been called Lena Marie since I was 19. "What'd you say?" "I said I got lost, Mama. I said I got really lost." Caleb stopped stirring. He set the spoon down. "What'd she say?" "She said, 'Well, you're home now.' And she took me in the kitchen. And she made me a grilled cheese sandwich. And I ate the whole thing." "Lena." "I ate the whole thing, Caleb. I haven't eaten a whole meal in 6 weeks." "Good. It was the best grilled cheese I've ever had in my life." "Your mama makes grilled cheese. That's how mamas do." "Yeah." They were quiet. He could hear crickets on her end. He could hear Lily upstairs having a one-sided argument with a doll. "Caleb." "Yes." "How's the little one?" "She made you a picture at school today. She's mailing it to you tomorrow. She wrote Lena on the envelope in purple marker and your address underneath in 3 different colors." "Oh." "She asks about you 3 times a day. She asked me if you called on Sundays now, or if Sunday was just for this Sunday. Sundays. Tell her Sundays, every Sunday." "I'll tell her." "Caleb." "Yes." "I have a long way to go." "I know. Dr. Poppy set me up with somebody down here. I start Wednesday." "Good." I'm going to see Emily on Monday. Okay. I haven't been in 2 years. I don't know how I'm going to be. You're gonna be however you're gonna be, Lena. My sister's driving down. We're going together. Good. Caleb. Yes. Thank you for answering. Yeah. I'll call Sunday. I'll pick up. And she did. Every Sunday at 6:15 his phone rang. For 3 weeks. Then 4. Then 6. Then 8. Caleb would be in the kitchen or in the truck coming home from a Sunday shift, or in the backyard watching Lily chase whatever she was chasing, and the phone would ring, and he would step out onto the back porch, or pull into a parking lot, or tell Lily, 5 minutes been. And he would talk to Lena for anywhere between 8 minutes and 2 hours. The conversations were not romantic. Not at first. Not even close. They were the conversations of two people who had been through the same door in different ways and were comparing notes on the other side. Lena told him about her mother's kitchen and about her sister's boy Dante, who was 4, and wore a superhero cape to bed every night, and about the headstone at Emily's grave that she had finally stood in front of without falling apart. Caleb told her about Lily's report card and about the way the Navy had folded him back into the service like he'd never left. He told her about the petty officer under his watch who reminded him of himself at 23. He told her about the mortgage paid, the dent in the pickup paid, the groceries paid. He told her the small, boring victories of a man who had been underwater financially for 3 years and was at last coming up for air. Caleb. Yes. You sound different. How? You sound like a man who sleeps through the night. Well, most nights. That's more than you used to. Yeah, it is. On a Sunday in May, a little over a month after the river, she asked him how Lily was doing. It was a question she asked every week. This time, she asked it different. Caleb. Yes. How is she, really? She's good, Lena. Caleb. Okay. She asks about Rachel more. She never used to ask. Since the river. Since the hospital. She asks. What does she ask? What Mommy smelled like. What Mommy's favorite song was. If Mommy would have liked her second-grade teacher. Which she would have. Rachel would have loved Mrs. Bledsoe, I told her that. Good. Dr. Marin at the school thinks it's healthy. Thinks she's been sitting on questions she wasn't ready to ask, and now she's ready. Because you're ready. Yeah, maybe. Because you're ready, Caleb. Yeah. Good. On a Sunday in June, she told him she had moved out of her mother's house and into a little apartment of her own, in a town called Mount Jackson. She'd taken a job at the VA, not clinical administrative a job, where she helped other veterans navigate their disability claims. She told him the job had saved her. She told him she drove in every morning at 7:30, and the first man she had helped on her first day had been a Marine who was 71 and had been fighting the VA for 3 years over a hearing loss claim, and she had gotten it through in 9 days, and the man had come back to her desk on day 10 and cried. Caleb. Yes. I think I'm doing better. I think so too, Lena. I'm sleeping. Good. I'm eating. Good. I'm allowed to miss you now, is what Dr. Poppy said on the phone yesterday. She said, Lena, you are stable enough now to miss someone. It is safe for you to miss someone. And Caleb. Yes. I miss you. Lena. And I miss your daughter. Lena. I know. I'm not asking for anything. I'm telling you. She misses you too, Lena. She talks about you every day. Every single day. I have a whole drawer of drawings. Send one. What? Send me one. Just one. Mail it to me. The apartment. Okay. He did. That week. An envelope with one green crayon drawing in it of 3 figures holding hands. He wrote nothing on the back. He didn't have to. In July, Lily turned 8. Caleb threw her a small party in the backyard. 6 kids from school, Joyce, and a chocolate cake from the grocery store that Lily had requested by specifically refusing the fancier one Joyce had tried to buy her. At 6 o'clock, Caleb was standing at the grill flipping burgers when Lily came running across the lawn in her party dress. Daddy! Daddy! Yes, Bean. She's here. Who's here? Miss Lena. Caleb turned. Lena was standing at the side gate in a sundress and sandals with a gift-wrapped box in her hands, and an expression on her face that said she was not entirely sure she had been invited, which she had not been. Not exactly. Lena. I'm sorry. I should have called. You came. I took the train up. I have a return ticket for tonight. Lily barreled into her legs. Lena set the box down on the grass and scooped her up the IV-free, hospital-free scoop of a woman with her feet firmly under her, and Lily wrapped her arms around her neck and hung on like a barnacle. You came to my party. I came to your party. Daddy said you lived far away now. I do, honey. But I got on a train very early this morning. Daddy? Lily looked over Lena's shoulder. Daddy, did you know? I did not know, Bean. But she can stay, right? For the party. Yeah, Bean, she can stay. Lily put her face against Lena's neck. She made a satisfied hum sound Caleb had only ever heard her make about two things in her life: ice cream and Rachel. Lena. Yes. Put her down a second. Why? Because I want to say hello. She set Lily down. Lily ran off to tell her friends that Miss Lena was here. Miss Lena, the one from the river, the one from the hospital, the one from the stories. Caleb and Lena stood about 3 feet apart on the patio while the burgers started to burn behind him. Hi. Hi. You look good, Lena. You look tired. That's because I am. But in a good way. Yeah, the good kind of tired. I didn't mean to intrude. You didn't. I didn't know if I should come. You should have. I got nervous this morning, on the train. Yeah. I almost got off at Harrisburg and turned around. Why didn't you? She looked up at him. Because I was not going to spend the rest of my life turning around when I should have been walking forward. Caleb felt his chest do a thing. Lena. Yes. The burgers are burning. She laughed. A full, real, top-of-the-head backward laugh. Joyce across the lawn looked over and saw her, and Caleb watched Joyce's face do the slow recognition of a woman who has heard a name 20 times and is now putting it to a body. Caleb. Yes, Joyce. Is that the lady? Yes, Joyce. Joyce started walking over, with purpose. Oh no. Lena. Yes. Whatever she says to you, I'm sorry in advance. Joyce arrived. She was in her church cardigan, the yellow one, and she had her arms crossed, and her eyes were doing a thing Caleb had only seen them do one other time, which was at Rachel and Caleb's wedding, the day Joyce had told him she would kill him personally if he ever hurt her daughter, and then had kissed him on the cheek and said, "Welcome to the family, son." You must be Lena. I must be. I'm Joyce. I raised the woman who raised that little girl over there for her first 4 years. Ma'am? I buried my daughter 3 years ago. I know, ma'am. Caleb told me. This man is a good man. He is too good a man. I know that, ma'am. He has been alone for 3 years. I know, ma'am. And if you are going to be in his life, young lady, then you are going to be in my granddaughter's life. And I will tell you, as the woman who raised that child, if you are going to be in her life, you are going to be in it with both feet. Not one foot, not a toe. Both feet. Do you understand me? Lena did not flinch. She looked Joyce in the eye. Mrs. Bellingham, I understand, and I will tell you this. I am not ready yet, but I am getting ready, and when I am ready, it will be with both feet. Joyce looked at her for a long, long time. Then she nodded. Once. Good answer. Thank you. Your burger is on fire, Caleb. I know it's on fire, Joyce. Then put it out. Caleb put the burger out. Joyce took Lena by the arm and walked her over to the other grandmothers, and he watched bemused as his mother-in-law introduced his whatever Lena was to everybody on the lawn with the air of a woman who was settling something. Lena did not get back on the train that night. Caleb put her in the spare bedroom. He slept on the couch. In the morning he made her coffee. Real coffee this time, not instant, and she sat at his kitchen table in a borrowed sweatshirt of his that came down past her hips, and Lily sat on Lena's lap and ate Cheerios off Lena's plate, and Caleb stood at the counter and watched them and had to turn around for a second because his eyes were doing a thing. Lena took the train home that afternoon, but she came back in August, for a weekend, and again in September for Lily's first day of third grade, which she watched from the sidewalk in a navy blue blazer, holding Caleb's hand, the way a person holds a hand when they have known it for a lifetime. And again in October, and in November for Thanksgiving, which she cooked in Caleb's kitchen, with Joyce at her elbow, and Caleb sat at the head of his own table for the first time in 3 years, without the empty chair across from him hurting the way it always hurt. Caleb. Yes, Lena. Pass the gravy. Yes, Lena. Miss Lena. Yes, Lily. Can you come for Christmas too? I hope so, honey. Can you come for always? Caleb set the gravy boat down. Joyce looked up from her plate. Lena looked at Lily. She looked at Caleb. She looked back at Lily. Honey, that's a grown-up conversation. I know, but I'm just telling you, in case you didn't know. Okay, honey. Okay. Lily went back to her mashed potatoes. Under the table, Lena's hand found Caleb's. She squeezed once. He squeezed back. It was on the anniversary of the river a year to the day that Caleb Hayes asked Lena Whitmore to marry him. He did not do it in a fancy way. He did not do it on a bridge. He did it on the bank of the Caddo River at the spot where he had dragged her out of the water on a warm spring afternoon with Lily in a yellow dress throwing pebbles at the current, and Joyce standing 20 yards away, pretending to be very interested in a tree. Lena. Yes. Walk with me. She walked with him. To the exact rock. She knew the exact rock. She had been to the exact rock 3 times now on 3 different visits, and each time she had stood on it and thanked the river for giving her back, and each time Caleb had stood beside her and said nothing because there was nothing to say. Lena. Yes. I'm gonna say a thing. Okay. A year ago I pulled you out of this river. Yes. I didn't know who you were. Yes. And you didn't know who I was. Yes. And since that day, I have been the luckiest man in Indiana, because I have slowly over 52 weeks been getting to know who you are. And who you are, Lena Whitmore, is the second love of my life. Lena's breath caught. Caleb. Rachel is the first. She will always be the first. I loved her since I was 22 years old. She gave me Lily. She gave me 11 years. She is not going anywhere out of my heart. She will not. I want you to know that. I know that, Caleb. And if you said yes to a thing I was about to ask you, you would be the second love of my life. And the second love of my life would be just as much a love. It would just be the one that came after. The one I got to have because I kept breathing after the first one left. Caleb. And my daughter over there, that little girl throwing rocks in the river, she has 2 people she calls hers. One of them is in the ground. One of them is standing in front of me. And what I'm trying to say is, I have a house with a spare bedroom that my daughter has been asking to turn into your room for 4 months now. And I have a ring in my pocket that I bought with 3 weeks' paycheck and drove to 3 different jewelers to find. And I don't know how to do this better than this, so I'm just going to do it. He got down on one knee, on the rock where he had laid her a year ago, and put his mouth on hers, and breathed. Lena Marie Whitmore. Yes. Will you marry me? She was crying. She was nodding. She couldn't speak. Is that a yes? Yes, yes, Caleb, yes. He put the ring on her finger. His hands were shaking. He stood up. She put her arms around his neck, and he put his arms around her waist, and they stood there for a long time on the rock where he had saved her life. And the river kept moving, the way rivers move, and downstream in a yellow dress their daughter, because she was their daughter now and had been since July, threw one more pebble and then turned around and saw them and started to run. Daddy, Daddy, did she say yes? She said yes, Bean. Miss Lena, you said yes. I said yes, honey. Lily threw herself at both of them. Caleb scooped her up. Lena held her from the other side. And the 3 of them, a Navy widower, a retired captain, and an 8-year-old girl, who had once stood on a bank and screamed for her father not to drown, stood on a rock on the Caddo River and held on to each other. Joyce, 20 yards away, wiped her eyes on her cardigan. They married that October in a small ceremony in Joyce's backyard. 40 people. A justice of the peace. Lily was the flower girl. Commander Reeve came in his dress blues and gave a toast that made every man at the table blink a little too hard. Dr. Poppy came from Indianapolis in a purple cardigan and cried through the whole vows. Lena's mother stood on the lawn and held Caleb's face in both her hands and said, "Son, I prayed for you before I knew your name." And Caleb Hayes, who had not been called son by a mother in 12 years, let her kiss his forehead and did not trust himself to speak. They did not honeymoon far. They drove 2 hours to a lake cabin for 3 nights. Lily stayed with Joyce and ate pancakes for dinner and slept in the big bed. On the first night at the cabin standing on the dock, Lena put her head on Caleb's shoulder and said, "Caleb, yes. You remember what I asked you, in the rental, the day before I left for Virginia? I remember. Will you stay? I remember. I'm asking again. The answer is still yes, Lena. If I undress, if you undress, if I am all the way broken, you are not broken anymore. If I ever am again, then yes, then too. Especially then." She was quiet a long time. "Caleb, yes. I was ready to die that day. I know. And I am so glad I didn't. I know. Thank you, for the river. Lena, any day, any river, any time." He kissed the top of her head. The river still runs under the Route 9 overpass in Colville County. It runs high in the spring, low in the summer, frozen half the winter. It does not remember the way rivers do not remember that on a cold Tuesday in March it tried to take a woman and lost. But the town remembers. And the rock on the bank has a small brass plaque on it, now put there by the local VFW, that reads simply, "On this spot, a sailor did not leave his shipmate. Tuesday, March 12th. Caleb and Lena walk Lily to that spot every year on the anniversary. Every year they stand on the rock. Every year Lily taller. Each year 10 now, and 12 and 15 and 17 going off to the academy in her father's uniform, and her mother's posture tosses 1 flower into the water. For the woman who almost wasn't here, and 1 flower for the mother who couldn't stay, and 1 flower for the sister she never got to meet, named Emily, and 1 flower for all the sailors in all the oceans who did not make it home. And Caleb Hayes stands on the rock between the 2 people he loves most in the world, and he listens to the water, and he thinks about the man he was a year before he jumped, and the man he became after, and the 27-second fall that gave him his whole second life. He thinks about how Lena asked him on that first night if anyone would stay. He thinks about how he answered her, and every year on that rock he answers her again without saying a word, by being there, by holding her hand, by watching his daughter grow, by being the man who did not leave his shipmate in the water, and who did not leave her afterward, and who will not leave her, not ever, not while he has breath in his body, and love in his chest, and a pair of navy hands strong enough to hold on. He stayed, he stays, he will stay, and that in the end is the whole story.